Hi ladies, so I have just finished filming my kind of brief little update video, and in this video I want to talk about my counselling sessions that I've had and what I've got out of those and how they've helped me kind of process a lot more about what I've been thinking and feeling about my 4 failed embryo transfers from last year and how I feel like they've helped me to be able to be moving forward with our IVF journey. Let me first say that I was really struggling at the end of last year to feel like I could keep doing this. I wanted to give up. I didn't want to do any more transfers. I didn't want to think about doing another round of IVF. I was kind of getting to the point where I said to Myke, you know, there's got to be an end point to this. There's got to be a point where we go, enough's enough, and we're just going to leave it as it is. Because I just couldn't believe or think that my heart could break any more than what it had been breaking. So I was just in a really bad space where I just didn't want to even try anymore. This is the headspace that I started my counselling with. I was really nervous to go to a counsellor. I'm not sure why, because I know that they're trained professionals. I suppose because you are bringing out all the stuff into the open, the stuff that you've been keeping inside, the heartache and the pain of the IVF journey, the things that you've really been struggling with, and having to talk about that all again, it just brings up the hurt and the pain again. So I'm sorry if I keep like squinching my one eye. It's kind of sore, I don't know why. Anyway, side note. So I have got some notes again. I do apologize if I keep looking down, but I just want to be able to make sure I'm keeping on topic and not making this video horrendously long. So throughout, I started my counselling session and she kind of told me about what the counselling was going to be like, what it would involve. I kind of was really excited to do counselling on one hand because I wanted some tools and I wanted some strategies to cope with failed transfers, to cope with the heartbreak and heartache of IVF. And so I was really pleased to hear at the very beginning, you know, she kind of laid out, well, in this experience we're going to be talking about tools and methods of coping with the IVF stuff. So I was like, yes, we're doing something that, you know, is going to be really helpful. The first few sessions were really good. It was kind of laying the groundwork for what she wanted to walk me through. We started off with talking about family history, about my childhood and this and that, and a whole base of things that we never really got into later on, but I think it kind of gave her an idea of what kind of person I am and how I process things. So that was really hard. The first session I came out of, and I was just feeling really crappy after that. And she even said to me, you're probably going to feel yuck for a few days because you're bringing up all this stuff, but you just need to take it easy. So yeah, it was really good. We talked a lot about the drama that had been happening at work at that time, which was something I needed to just talk through with someone, because at that very moment that was the thing that I was struggling with the most. But we had decided that we were going to leave most of the sessions for the IVF because that's kind of the underlying cause of the stress and the depression that I was going through at that time. So I want to kind of talk mostly about my breakthrough session. It was the session where I felt released from the pain and the heartache and the hurt of the failed embryo transfers. I mean, they're still there, I suppose, but where it kind of released me a lot from the stress and the depression. It was my 5th session with her, and in the sessions you talk about thought patterns, the thoughts that you have that are running through your mind when you're going through a difficult situation. And the thought that we decided to diagnose, to work through, is the thought that I had of that I don't deserve to be a mother. This is the thought that would often pop into my mind, especially after a failed transfer. Maybe this isn't happening because God doesn't want me to be a mum. These are the kind of, overpowering thoughts that you have, and they're so self-consuming. And even saying that out loud to her, I burst into tears every single time without fail. And she would just say to me, I can see how raw it is for you, that, this is still bringing you hurt when you're talking about it even now. So one of the things we do in the session is we dissect the thought. We talk about things that are true about that thought and things that are false about that thought. And then we talk about kind of reinventing that thought, flipping it on its head and making it something new that's not going to be all consuming. So I won't get into all of that, but what I wanted to talk about was when we tried to flip the thought around. We talked about control, and one of the brilliant things about my counselor, my psychologist, is that she's a Christian. So if this next part is going to be a lot of Christianese, and I'm really, really sorry about that. If you are not a believer, I hope you can still appreciate what I have to say, the things that I have to say in this space, because it was very and is very real to me. So bear with me in this next part. We talked about control and how as humans we have this belief that we have control over our lives, and how silly that is to think that we have any sort of kind of sense of control. At any moment you and I could die. Something that could happen. God could decide that was the end for us. There could be an earthquake or a flood or total annihilation in one way or another. However it might be, there's no controlling when our lives end. That's not up to us. And even how our lives go, God, if you're a Christian, you must believe that God has a purpose and a plan for your life, that He has already marked the path for your life. And He is the lamp unto our feet. He is shining just a small section at a time as we walk along this path. But He's already laid out the path for us. And so in a way, we do have some control over our lives, but God will always keep us on the path that He has destined and planned for us if we are walking in His ways. And so we talked about this idea around that. And then we talked a lot about the Bible, and we talked about Genesis and how right at the beginning when Adam and Eve sinned and were kicked out of God's garden because God cannot be around sin, even at that very moment, God had made a plan to bring us back into relationship with Him. He had designated this one family line to be the line that Jesus would become a part of later on. And this was the family line that was to bring the Messiah, that would bring Jesus. And you can see throughout the Bible, especially in Genesis, that people have this idea that they can control the plan that God has for their life. And the people that I identify most with is Abraham and Sarah. I identify with Sarah because, like us, if you want to read a book and see how much infertility is in that book, read the Bible. It is everywhere. Sarah was infertile. She could not bear children. She struggled with her infertility. And it even got to the point where God had said to Abraham and Sarah, I am going to bless you with many generations of children. You're going to have kids. It's going to be everywhere for you. And Abraham and Sarah are thinking, are you kidding me? Like, they're getting well past childbearing age. In fact, they are well past it. And they cannot see where God's plan is leading them. They don't understand that it's more than just them. They don't understand it's more than just their current situation, that God's got a plan for many generations to come, and they are a key part in it. And where humans muddle with control is that Sarah took her maidservant and gave this maidservant to Abraham to have a child with, so she could at least have some child in her life. But this was not God's plan. God's plan was to bless Sarah with a child. That was God's plan. And not that the child that Abraham and the maidservant had wasn't, part of the bigger picture, but he was not part of the line that God had destined for. And as we were talking about this idea of us trying to control our destiny, it hit me like a brick that it was not my fault that I couldn't get pregnant. It wasn't my fault that the transfers hadn't worked, because there was more to my plan, my destiny, than I could see at this very moment. For so long I had hated on my body, hated on whatever was wrong with me, with my endometriosis, with my hypothyroid, with all these other things, thinking it's all my fault, I don't deserve this because it's all my fault. Or I'm not strong enough, I cry all the time, that's why I'm not gonna be blessed with a child. And the underlying thing is, God has given me a desire to be a mother. He has given me the heart to want to be a mother. And the Bible talks about God giving us the desires of our heart, but it doesn't necessarily mean in our timing. And so it just, at that very moment, it was like this big switch went off in my head, and I realized, I kept saying, it's not my fault, and I was bawling my eyes out. And even my psychologist, she said, I'm sorry, this might seem really unprofessional, but she was crying because she said, I can see what a powerful moment this is for you. It was so powerful to realize that I cannot do anything. I cannot make my body hold in a baby. I cannot do anything without God blessing that embryo or blessing whatever it is to make things happen. And it just gave me a weight off the shoulders that it's not that I am keeping my parents from being grandparents, and it's not that I'm keeping Myke from being a dad, because those are the things I struggle with as well. It's not just my own heartache, it's the heartache of my family, that I'm keeping them from realizing their dreams just as much as it is my dream. And it was such a relief to know that it's not on my shoulders, not in my control to be these things. I can't make a baby happen. I can't miraculously fall pregnant. This is up to God to do these things. And then I had to deal with another thing that I've been struggling with, is that, well then, if it is in God's hands, is He punishing me? Why hasn't He blessed me with a baby? Why am I going through all this heartache and this pain right now? Why do I have to walk this path? What if He never blesses me with a child of my own? Will I be okay with that? And so that was kind of the second part of my breakthrough, was realizing that God is a good God. That He doesn't hate me. He doesn't hate on who I am. And realizing that it is more than just me and my situation. Just like Abraham and Sarah, they were just looking at them, their situation, their core little family, and not realizing that there's an overarching and overpowering theme that goes beyond them, that looks at generations to come. And I think about who I would be if I didn't go through all this crap. I think about who my family would be if we didn't go through all of this. I certainly wouldn't be making videos. I wouldn't be in a position where I could care for people who go through infertility. I think if I had just had the transfers happen easily, I wouldn't appreciate how difficult and how hard this journey is. And maybe not be able to care for people the same, to not have the same sort of empathy that I have now. Myke would have never been able to study. He would never be in a position where he is now, where he is loving and enjoying his job, where he actually has career prospects. For him, he would have never known what it's like to have a broken heart if he'd never gone through this. I feel like my mum and I are a lot closer because of this. I feel like she's become a lot more empathetic to me, towards my situation, and I so appreciate and love that about her, that she has become more understanding that it's okay to cry and it's okay to be upset. And the most important thing of all is realizing this, that it's not that I don't deserve to be a mother. It's that I'm already a good mother. I'm a mother to my niece and nephews. I'm a mother to my friends' children. I can be a mother to the kids at my church and in my community. I can be a good mother to, the kids around me. So it's not that I am not deserving. It's that I already am what I need to be a mum. And that is so uplifting and so encouraging to me, that a baby is not what is going to make me who I am. I already am who I am. I already am all I need to be. And you are exactly the same. We don't have to have children. We don't have to have the baby in the carriage to be who we already are. We're already loving and caring and good people. That is who we are. And while I cannot wait for the day when I am a mum, when I get to hold my own baby in my arms, when I get to be in a family unit with Myke, I cannot wait for that day. I also am content and I'm happy with who I am right now. Because God has destined me to be who I am, and He can use me as I am right now. So thank you if you've made it to the end, well done. Thank you for bearing with me in this video, and I hope that some of what I've said will not just be about me talking into a camera, but if you've been dealing with the same things, I highly, highly encourage you to either go see a psychologist, see your doctor, and talk about these things, get some help, and work through the issues that are going on in your head. Work through the issues, because our thoughts can be so powerful. Our thoughts can be such a driver in how we feel and how we act and how we deal with a situation. And I feel like if we don't have that under control, everything just spirals. Everything becomes impossible. So seek help. Seek it where you can get it, and hold on to hope that it's not the end of the journey for you or for me. It's all part of a much bigger journey that stretches even further than your time here on earth. It stretches further than your children's time here on earth. Whatever you're going through has a purpose and a plan, and it has meaning. So hold on to hope. Thanks, ladies.